Good morning, YouTube. Today, Josh is here. The other Josh.
Hello, YouTube.
And he's going to help fix the 575, or at least we're going to try and fix it.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
For your new channel, my name is Dan, that's Josh, this is my garage, and that is my Ferrari 575, which has some issues that need to be sorted before, well, either I enjoy it or one of you enjoys it. Probably, pretty much, I'm going to enjoy it for a while before I sell it. I just kind of decided I'm going to keep it for a little while.
You must miss your beater 430 a little bit.
I do.
You've been driving all these super posh 458s and stuff,
So,
and
like,
Lamborghinis, and it's time to go back to your roots of a real beater, a stick shift
is not
old
a-
school Ferrari.
But it's not a beater. It's actually really nice. The paint's in excellent condition.
The paint is like the least critical part of the whole car.
Mechanically, it's almost there.
It's almost. Well, you got a working gas pedal now, so.
I have a working clutch.
Oh.
Working clutch, yeah.
Look at you.
I don't have a working stereo. I don't have a working heater. I don't have a working parking brake, and it needs a major.
So the radio.
Which we disabled the radio.
I say the radio. You just take the Becker out and throw it in the trash.
Well, it's
can.
already aftermarket. And if you remember when we were dealing with the fuel delivery issue that you sorted, which was the pedal, the accelerator pedal, we cut a bunch of wires. I think some of them are fixed, maybe not all of them. But we also pulled out the fuse.
Why did you cut a bunch of wires to replace the gas?
You did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Why'd I cut a bunch of wires?
You were like, they're in the way, and you cut them.
Oh.
I remember that very clearly.
Oh.
Because you were in that little panel, and you're like, these damn wires shouldn't be here. And so you cut them. And I was like, yeah.
That sounds about right. Note to stereo shops, do your job right.
Right, yeah. Anyway, he's got computer stuff. We have so we're going to try and do the heater first, because we think it might be electronic, which would be probably good.
If it's the electro valve, it's a cheap part, except for you can't buy them new. You got to buy a used one.
Okay. Well, for
and
parts.
You're going to drain coolant to do your major anyway, so.
Good timing.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
Oh, and I thought I'd show you this. The other day, my son was wandering around the garage, and I didn't realize it, but he caused that. Thanks, Sebastian. I guess he knocked over that, and it just drained out, and yeah.
He has now initiated himself.
Yeah, he's like, hey, let's spill oil everywhere, and
He's one of the guys now.
yeah. I get to clean up. You got the SDX plugged into the OBD.
Yeah, so
I haven't seen the SDX.
SDX is pretty cool, right? So you guys saw, a while back,
I've
I
seen the
have the
Texa.
SD1. So I only have an SD1.
Okay.
And then I have the Texa, which covers a great deal of everything else from Ferrari. They just have zero SD1 functions aside from basic Bosch Motronic and like a couple of ABS functions, but they don't do anything else. No suspension, no F1 and 355, none of that stuff. So that's why I got an SD1 when it came up. SD1 is early, mid-90s. SD2 is late 90s, early 2000s.
360 gen.
Yeah, like up to this, right? So 575 was the last one, but SD3 goes from 430 and 612, and
Through
599 and
458s? Or
no, that's DEIS.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They got an even different one for that.
Yeah, so figure every 5 years they change the diagnostic platform. So there's Ferrari Tester of the 80s for the very first EFI cars, right? Bosch Motronic 2.7. Then you get SD1, SD2, SD3, and then DEIS, Diagnostic Easy Information System, right? So SDX covers SD2 and SD3.
Oh,
Okay, but SD2 also incorporates a bunch of SD1 functions. So technically this does,
A lot of SD1.
from 1989 to 2005.
So they were kind of reverse compatible.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And that was always the intention with Ferrari, and that's why getting the old scan tools is difficult, because each version is, reverse compatible. But of course, as we know, usually the newer machines don't do old functions as well as old machines. So it's this,
Yeah, they
funny-
changed it up. It's not the same.
Yeah.
I just was noting, I need to clean that carpet. It's disgusting. The mat.
It's seen some feet.
Well, look at, that's great. Not so great.
An example of the change in technology is this.
Oh my God.
Okay, so the Texa, right, has a board like this.
Yeah.
And when it needs to hit the different communication lines through the diagnostic connector, it switches relays and changes the circuitry internally in the box. But in these days here, they hadn't figured that out yet, at least not, Digitech with the SD2 and SD3s.
Oh my God, so you have to do all these different things.
Yep, there's ISO 1 and ISO 2 primary connection cables, and then there's this various types of cables here. It's telling me, see the little D here?
Yeah.
Connect ECU D.
So it's saying use that one.
So I have ISO line 1 connected to cable D, and I'm on the OBD2 plug.
Okay.
Now there's a couple weird things, like the dash on some cars, like the 360, won't communicate through the OBD2 cable. So you have to take whatever cable it is, I think it's cable E, and then go straight to the
There's actually a little port for it?
There's a little 3-pin connector up under the dash for the instrument cluster. So it's just like the SD1 stuff where we went straight to the ECU on the 355. But on that car, I only have 2 of these, right? 'Cause that's it.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting seeing old technology. And so Dan suspects that we have a temperature knob issue,
I feel like it always blows cold as balls.
which is unusual.
Yeah, like I feel like if you turn it to warmer, it doesn't really go warmer.
So before we get in, I already pulled the trim panels out to get to the water valve. But before we start checking circuits and stuff,
Yeah, it's an easy test, right?
Yeah, we'll just do this because this is easy, and we'll see. We should actually see like values here.
Oh, it actually tells you like it should be this many degrees.
Yeah, we should be able to do something like
I
that.
figured I'd just show you like a voltage reading. So you know how sometimes you gotta relay important information to people trying to help you? Well, I was ignorant and didn't relay all of the information, and I relayed some more information for Josh, and he took all of 3.5 seconds after that and goes, oh, well, there. Yeah, there's our, that's the heater core pipe, and it's just chilling, doing nothing. Sweet.
That would be a lack of hot water.
So that would, that would cause a lack of hot water going into the heater core so it doesn't blow hot. Well, okay. So we're trying to figure out, well, here's the problem. If it's the heater core leaking, yikes, that means the dash has to come out, so.
So here's your hose.
Those are the 2 hoses, yeah.
Right, this goes to the bottom of the water tank and goes to the hot water valve. And then out of the heater core here is this one, which goes to your water pump. And this one goes up to the water manifold up underneath the intake manifold.
So one that's disconnected is this one right here,
Yep.
coming off the coolant.
Yep, off the coolant tank to the hot water valve. That one's disconnected.
And right now, I bet you think it just runs straight to this. It's a blue silicone hose. It's definitely not factory.
No, definitely not factory.
Like that blue hose is not factory.
Yeah, they might have looped the electric auxiliary pump out, and they might have just looped it, into the back of the water manifold underneath the intake there. So the pump is out.
So pump at least is not running dry.
Yeah.
It's just circulating nothing.
And hopefully it's disconnected. The pumps are actually a really common failure. So why they would disconnect the line if it was a bad pump doesn't make any sense.
Unless the pump was leaking.
Still, why would you disconnect? Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah, because they do leak. So yeah, I guess instead of replacing the pump, maybe they just bypassed it.
I don't know.
So it's possible.
So it's
You're
either
gonna have to
pump,
rack it, pull the right front wheel and the inner fender out, and double check that pump, and and double check and see if they totally bypass that pump. That's easy option.
we hope.
Yeah, hard option is
Heater core.
Yeah, heater core or something, or something up there.
Well, if there's absolutely zero hot water going in, that might explain why the knob doesn't do anything.
Oh, 100% does.
Because then it's always running the AC, and the AC is just always cold, and so it's always just cold.
Unless you switch the little button that says
it's
off.
off.
Yeah, then you have no
Be
AC.
ambient air.
And realistically, I mean, when you change the temperature, there are some flap doors, so you should get less cool air. So I'm still suspect of that ECU because we can't connect to it. It'd be great if we had a second scan tool to hook up and see if it's a software scan tool issue or an ECU issue.
I tried doing the launch and it didn't have any ability, it just wasn't even a module available.
Yeah, Texa didn't have it either. I checked it before I came over. We might as well pull the wheel and the inner fender and check that pump because those are common.
We're gonna have to reconnect it anyways.
I've replaced those pumps before.
Okay.
So we should check that and see how the hoses are routed and figure out if that pump's a problem first. Or we also need to pressure check the heater core and see if we've got like a bunch of issues going on. This time we tried to go with the computer first.
Yeah. Damn it. We got screwed.
On Italian cars, there's always a 50-50 chance of getting it right, which means you have a 100% chance of getting it wrong.
Okay, so there's our water pump, and the pump is straight up disconnected.
Yep.
So we would need to connect this hose back to this, and then the other hose to the other thing.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep, they pulled it off the pump and the heater core completely, so the pump is still circulating.
Well,
So-
if it was plugged in.
Yeah. What do we do here? This is a great question.
How do we test it?
The pump?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just positive and negative. So if you have a 12-volt supply, we could just put power straight to the pump.
And see if it spins.
Yeah.
Whir.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably have a spare battery. All right, got them connected there. We'll see if we get the old whir.
Connector.
All right, well,
See what it does.
yep. Oh, I hear it.
Yep. You hear the water swish in the tank?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, that definitely works.
Yep.
Well, that's good.
Yep. And it's not leaking because we know it's plumbed into the cooling system and it's not hemorrhaging water. So pump is okay.
Pump is okay, so...
You definitely have a heater core issue.
Well, if they did disconnect it for that reason.
Yeah, why else would they disconnect it?
Who knows, man?
The only other reason is if the blend doors aren't working, but still.
How can we test if it's got a leak?
Because there's a water valve.
Can we pressurize it and see if it retains pressure?
Well, you've got the water valve, so we have to activate the water valve. Yeah, so we have to pressurize it and see if it pushes through the water valve. And if not, then we got to try and turn it to heat and see if the valve opens and lets the pressure through. You just got to go in and key it on and flick it over the heat. It would be nice if the scan tool would communicate.
Yeah, just push
then,
the button.
Yeah, then I could just activate, everything and run the check cycle. But typical Ferrari, nothing ever wants to work right.
Of course not. So we pressurized the line, and it actually spewed out a bunch of coolant, which was interesting. Here, want me to hold that?
Sure.
So we're going to suck out some of the coolant so we don't have a... it's not getting vacuum. There we go. Ooh. Nice.
Yeah, we put air and there's water in the heater core, so when we pressurized the supply line to the heater core, water came out.
Yeah.
So the question is, why is it disconnected? The assumption would be
Heater core leaking.
heater core leaking. But also possible that like a blend air door or something silly isn't working and letting hot air bleed through. Much less likely, but possible. Usually it's the water valve leaking and letting hot water bleed through. I thought there was more water in there than that.
Yeah, that's not much, is it?
No. At least it's in the bucket and not on the floor.
Yeah. So we're going to swap back the actual hoses for the heater core. So that blue hose goes bye-bye. We'll see if we have a puddle inside the car.
We call this qualitative testing.
All right, we just kind of had an anticlimactic moment. We got all the hoses connected.
I hate it when I don't get the climax.
I know, right? Sucks. Key on everything, and we were going to pressure test it, and I cannot find my coolant pressure testing kit. It's not here. I don't know if I left it at the Howard. I don't know if it somewhere, if I let someone borrow it. So I'm gonna have to get a hold of one of those before we can figure out the mystery of if this thing's leaking or not. Because I really don't want to like drive it and have hot coolant leaking out into the car. That just doesn't sound fun.
No, and if it is the heater core, you know, there's a bunch of electronics and stuff
Yeah,
right
it starts
there.
leaking out onto that, and that goes real good.
Yeah, we don't need more problems.
So we're gonna wait on that and see how that goes. So we'll be joining you in just a minute once I get one. So
Through
stay
the
tuned.
magic of the internet.
Yeah, through the magic of the internet, multiple days will turn into mere seconds.
12 seconds later.
All right, YouTube, it's been a few days, and the reason it's been a few days is I had to order a new pressure tester kit for the cooling system. I don't know where mine went. I had one, it's gone. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put some pressure on the cooling system to make sure it's not gonna leak in the interior. And the reason we wanna do that with that kit, instead of actually just driving the car as well, then we're gonna have cold water coming out if there's a leak instead of hot water coming out if there's a leak, and we can control it and stop it immediately versus, well, if it gets hot, then you're just kind of at the mercy of the pressure built up in the system, which can be scary, and I don't want to do that. So let's put some pressure on it. We'll have to turn the key on, turn on the AC, or actually the heater, and make sure that it's actually circulating, and apply some pressure and pray to the gods that it doesn't leak. Okay. Oh, and by the way, I worked on it the other day, and the radio is now 100% functional. Josh doesn't remember it, but I did. We cut some of the speaker wires. I had to reconnect those, no big deal. And then for some reason, the rear speakers were plugged into the subwoofer RCA cable and not the rear speaker RCA. So I had just swapped those, and then it suddenly worked. And I was like, oh, well, that was easy. So, music. It's good. Good in a GT car, it really is. Okay, YouTube, you can see we're just about at 10 PSI, which is where you're supposed to put it according to the instruction manual. So we're going to leave it there. And now what we're going to do is go in the car, turn on the heater. So let's do that. All right, and we will turn on the ignition and turn on the heater so it's at least cycling. Okay, so theoretically it's now cycling through the heater. We're going to see if there's any leaks down there. Hopefully not. And we'll watch the pressure on the outside. It's holding right at 10 PSI. Well, that's a good thing. Let's let, sit for a good 5 minutes. You can actually hear the water in there. Here's the really weird thing. If the heater core works and there's no leaks, why was it disconnected? I don't know. That one makes no sense to me. Why would they have disconnected the heater core if it was working? That's making me really nervous. It's almost making me more nervous than finding something wrong with it, because it's like, oh, okay, here's why you disconnected. But yeah. All right, YouTube. It's been about a good 20-30 minutes, and it's, as far as I can tell, exactly at the same spot. So I don't think it's losing any pressure. I guess we go out for a drive and pray that it doesn't pee all over me and burn me. Okay, let's take it out for a drive. All right, YouTube, so I think I see why they disconnected the heater core. I've got the AC as low as it'll go, so we're on low. I've got it on full blast, and it's blasting hot air as the car heats up. So obviously one of the blend doors is just non-functional. So that's the problem here. It's not actually that the heater wasn't working. The heater works too good. So we need to figure out fixing the blend door. It's either the blend door or somehow something's just causing it to constantly run through the heater core. So there's our problem. It's not actually the heater at all. Alright, YouTube, this makes me very sad to find out that the heater works, because being the blend door, most likely, I think we have to pull out the dash. I really don't want to have to do that. But I'm going to send a message to Josh, see what he says, and we'll probably have to order some parts and then come back and join you again soon. So like, share, and subscribe, hit the notification bell, check out Exotic Power and Performance at Josh's shop, and check out normalguysupercar.com if you want to buy any parts or services from us. And of course, MG Supercars, our dealership. Poor Mo. He's unhappy. Anyways, we'll see you guys in the next video, so like, share, and subscribe. It's gonna be sweet.